Do you find yourself going through the drive-thru only to have a binge in secret and you feel guilty afterwards? This episode on the What's Eating You podcast is going to address binge eating on the way home from work or drive-thru guilt and anxiety.
Welcome to the What's Eating You podcast. I'm your host, Stephanie Giorgio, and I'm a clinical psychologist.
Welcome back, my friends. We are on the What's Eating You podcast. And if you are a newbie, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here. And if you're an OG, welcome back. I appreciate you. Now, today's episode is inspired by many of the women I work through in food freedom, or I should say I work with in food freedom. And for those who don't know, Food Freedom is my premium coaching program where you work closely with me and a group to overcome binge eating, bulimia, and a bad relationship with food, to discover what eating food guilt-free feels like, having confidence in yourself and your body, and never going on another diet again. Now, one theme I noticed was that people usually binge eat as soon as they get home from work. For those who don't know, binge eating means eating a large amount of food in a short period of time and feeling a loss of control. And what I noticed is some women were not actually eating a large amount of food, but they were rating their eating episodes as binges. And one of these themes I noticed was in the drive-thru. A few of my participants would go through a drive-thru on the way home from work and secretly eat before they got home and then have dinner with their partner. They classified it as binge eating because, number one, it was done in secret. Number two, they felt overly full by the time they ate. And number three, they felt guilt and negative emotions. So remember, binge eating is not just about what you eat, but it's about the state you eat it in and the way it makes you feel. I'm going to go through exactly what this looks like and then some solutions for you. So if this is you, you are not alone. Secret eating on the way home from work, going through a drive-thru, then going home and eating dinner with your partner and hiding the wrappers in the bin is more common than you think. So this started with one lady who was going home on the way from work and she just felt stressed and overwhelmed, and she'd stop and have 3 or 4 packets of chips from McDonald's. And the first strategy we put in place was food structure. And if you've listened to my podcast, if you've read my book, if you've done my programs, this is literally the golden information, and I give it to you for free all day, every day. The question is, are you actually implementing it? So food structure is eating 3 meals and 2 to 3 snacks. Now, this lady I was working with, when we first met, she didn't even have breakfast. She was like, Steph, breakfast, eating in the morning, it makes me sick. Now, I can safely say her binges have reduced significantly and she's eating breakfast every day and loving it. So we built up to it slowly, but she's now having breakfast and she's hardly binge eating anymore. But what we discovered was she was absolutely starving when she finished work and she felt a little bit overwhelmed and stressed. So research shows that binge eating episodes are most likely to occur when someone has gone on long stretches without eating. By the end of a workday, many people had either skipped meals, they're under eating, and here's the other thing, people think, oh my God, I eat so much, but they eat as much as a toddler. Just because you may be in a larger body and society makes you think that you eat too much, a lot of women in larger bodies significantly undereat. You are also likely to ignore hunger cues if you're very busy at work, and especially if you're trying to push through deadlines. Now, that after work time is the most vulnerable window. So it's so important that you have a strategy in place. I call it the 3 to 5 o'clock window. It is when you feel the most tired. It's when you get a drop in your energy. Usually it's been about 8 hours since you've woken up, and our body works in 8-hour cycles. So if you notice that slump between 3 and 5 where you're the most ravenous, guess what? You're normal. But there are a few tips and tricks you can do to help you through this.
Do you eat a large amount of food in a short period of time and feel a loss of control? Maybe you make yourself sick after you binge eat. If this is you, you're not alone. I'm a clinical psychologist who went through a 9-year eating disorder, and I know how to get to the other side of food freedom. If you're ready to ditch the dieting mentality, discover food freedom, and find confidence in yourself and your body, click the free eating evaluation call. The link is below.
Now, the drive-thru offers the perfect binge scene. Number one, it's anonymous. You don't have to face a server. You don't even have to speak to anyone or sit in a restaurant. Number two, it's private. You can just eat in your car without anyone watching. And number three, it's secretive. You can put the food wrappers in the bin and you can erase the whole experience before you walk through the door. It's designed to feel fast, convenient, and without structure. Your brain sees it as the quickest way to refuel after hours of neglect. So the first thing I invite you to do is reflect on if you're a drive-through binge eater or a shameful drive-through eater. I want you to reflect on what drives this for you. Is it extreme hunger? That's the first question. Is it extreme hunger? The second thing, is it excitement? Do you restrict these foods so you just give yourself permission to have them? Are you planning this during the day because you're starving yourself of certain foods throughout the day? So if this is you, I want you to reflect on what need is this meeting? Is it excitement? Like, is it me time after work? The second point of this podcast is, why does it feel so shameful? Because I've had so many people who report, I feel so guilty and ashamed whenever I eat McDonald's. And I say, well, why aren't you allowed to like McDonald's? Same with sweets. People feel so much shame about being a sweet tooth. What's wrong with enjoying sweets? I remember I used to be like that. And now I'm a self-proclaimed sweet tooth. I say I love desserts. And now everyone jokes about it. They're like, haha, Steph's going to eat all the dessert. Yeah, I am. Because I love sweet food. But here's the issue. Diet culture has taught us that fast food is bad food. Words like greasy, guilty, guilty pleasure, or junk food carry moral weight. Society attaches shame to eating at a drive-thru, so the secrecy grows. Maybe you've heard your parents say, we don't eat that rubbish. Or you saw them eating fast food in private while warning you about it in public. That projected shame becomes internalized. You learn that eating McDonald's fries means you failed rather than simply eaten food. And when you label the food as bad, you then label yourself as bad for eating it. That guilt fuels the cycle of frustration, restriction, binge, guilt, and then you restrict again. So if you're someone who has shame around buying food at the drive-thru or fast food shame, I want you to reflect, where did your beliefs about fast food come from? Do you believe that people who get takeaway are lazy? What if you were in a smaller body? Would you have that same belief? Was shame projected onto you as a child about going to McDonald's? Do you truly believe that a drive-through meal defines your worth? Or is that diet culture speaking? Now, if this is you, I'm going to give you an exercise to release the shame and to help you overcome drive-through binges. So, here is the acronym. It's called RIDE, for the ride home. It stands for R, release shame, I, intake check, D, drive prepared, and E, embrace permission. R, release shame. Stop the self-criticism. If you enjoy a frappe and a hash brown on your way to work, own it and get curious and say, okay, why is this happening? Is it because I don't prepare breakfast at home? Is it because I feel like I shouldn't be eating this because I should be losing weight? Just remember, shame never fixes a bad relationship with food, whereas curiosity can. So release the shame and just start to own your actions and say, I'm going to choose to have McDonald's and everything's going to be okay. And I promise the minute you release shame and you start to own it, you're not going to want it anymore because it's the secrecy that creates the urgency. Number 2, I is intake check. Have I eaten today? How long has it been since my last meal? Ideally, we want no more than 4 hours between meals. That after work hunger spike is usually predictable, but it's also preventable. So the next time you're driving home and you're like, oh, I really want to go through the drive-thru, but you're someone who's trying to improve your relationship with food, we want to check in with ourselves. Now, this isn't to say we're trying to stop you from going through the drive-thru. That's not what we're doing. We want you to enjoy the drive-thru. If you're going to get Macca's, if you're going to drive through and spend, money on this, I want you to actually enjoy it and not have shame around it. So in order to enjoy it, we want to eat it in a good state. I always say this to people. We want you to eat your chocolate. We want you to enjoy your takeaway in a good state. And this is how we create a good state. D, drive prepared. Now, this is a game changer for so many women. I tell them to bring a snack for the car ride home. Popcorn, nuts, a muesli bar, a fruit, rice cakes. So many women in the Food Freedom program has said this was a simple game changer. Having food in the car on the way home, it completely changed their evenings. They didn't come home absolutely starving. They weren't snacking while they were preparing dinner. They didn't binge eat. They felt cognitively able to cook dinner and then enjoy it. Now, the E is embrace permission. If you do go through the drive-thru, honor your decision. Don't nibble in shame. Eat with intention. Now, one of the changes I got this lady to make was instead of ordering 3 large fries, is have a meal. Say, I'm going to get McDonald's on the way home. I'm going to get a burger. I'm going to get chips and I'm going to get a drink or whatever. Because you think by having 3 packets of chips, oh, it's not that bad, it's just chips. But actually have a proper meal so you can enjoy it and you're actually getting a bit of balance because the chips aren't really going to meet your needs of hunger. Because here's the paradox. The minute you tell yourself you can go to the drive-thru anytime you want and order whatever you want, the urgency fades. This is actually reverse psychology and it works. One of my women in Food Freedom, she's like, Steph, I made myself go through the drive-thru and I didn't even want it anymore. What have you done to my brain? That's the power of permission. So this is a gradual process. Remember, it's not about perfection. It's about progress. So as you practice this over time, as you give yourself permission to have drive-thru food, you have a balanced meal, you eat a snack on the way home from work, your binge urges are going to shrink over time. You still might binge, but they're going to become less frequent, less intense, and less impactful on your life. And then even if you do have binges, we have a strategy called a binge analysis, which I've spoken about in a previous episode that you can go listen to. The intensity of your binges will lessen because you're actually nourishing your body and you're removing the secrecy. So it's not going to feel like something you have to do because you're actually eating better throughout the day. You're eating more regularly. So you're not going to be as starving mentally and psychologically. Now, with every new drive home where you choose a different option, you're literally rewiring your brain. If your brain is so used to going Macca's on the way home, by choosing new actions, you're actually creating new neural pathways in your brain. And the old drive-through pathway binge pattern starts to weaken, and the new drive home popcorn snack pattern starts to strengthen. That's neuroplasticity in action. Your brain is learning a new way to drive home. So here's the recap. Number 1, drive-through binge eating happens because of hunger, secrecy, shame, diet culture, and not giving yourself permission to enjoy the food. 2, shame just fuels the cycle, whereas curiosity interrupts the cycle. Use the right framework to become curious. R, release the shame. I, do an intake check. Have I eaten today? Am I hungry? Am I stressed? What's going on? D, drive prepared. Take your snacks with you. E, embrace permission. If I'm going to eat this, I'm going to enjoy it, I'm going to honor it, and I'm going to get a proper meal instead of just you getting a small chips and pretending that's going to satisfy me. And every small shift you make rewrites your brain toward food freedom. Now, if this episode resonated, my food freedom program, the last one of 2025, actually starts September 29th. You'll get support, structure, and strategies to fully break the cycle of binge eating, purging, and having a bad relationship with food and your body. Make sure you book a call. The link's in my profile, and I will see you next time.
Did you know by taking 2 seconds to leave a rating or a review, you help me get the podcast out to more listeners just like you who could really benefit from the information? I appreciate all your support and thank you for tuning in.